Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, I want to talk about this upcoming 1+1 sacred event that's going to be popping up probably in about 12 hours, depending on when you guys view this video. But I'm going to go over some of the odds and whether or not you should participate in it or not, and things to look out for so that you are well informed before you guys start pulling your sacred shards. We also have this summon pool event going on right now. Seems like a regular thing now from Plarium, where they're giving us these faction guardians for each one of the factions. Looks like they're going in a certain type of order, so Barbarian was kind of expected. So we got Dune Lord Gregor here. He seems interesting, although not overly broken. But I mean, he could be a pretty good control champion, for example, with the turn meter, instant effect, and then reducing of cooldowns. That kind of means that your team's going to have some pretty good control over your enemies. And of course, they have one of the best control champions with the Armans. So, you know, maybe pair with Armans, it can be kind of insane, but I don't really see too many barbarian level teams. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but for sure with Armans, definitely a really good candidate. It's only 25 prism shards, but obviously we're going to be getting less prism shards from our rewards. I do have 80 prism shards on my alt account here. On my main account, I believe I have 85. And the way we do this is basically by not collecting prism rewards, letting them expire, go to our inbox. And once that happens, hopefully the current active summoning pool will have ended, so that when those shards are collected, they go into, I guess, this portion of it without having an active pool, and then you can save it for the next one. So here, unfortunately, I will be forced to pull 3 times for this pool, at least. And if I decide to get any more prism crystals, for example, from the Sand Devil, for example, then I can either hold it or collect it to pull more. With that being said, each 20 pull is actually worth $5 US. So each 25 crystals is probably worth, you know, between like $6.50 US or whatever. Is it a good deal? Obviously, the odds are not great. 6% legendary odds, basically the same as having a sacred shard. No mercy, of course. It's not worth anything in terms of summon rush points. And the pool is pretty limited, so unless you're like dying for these legendaries, it's not really super worth it. Like compared to like a sacred shard. Sacred shards are obviously not really worth it, but you know, this is not that much more worth it unless you really want these champions here. So I would generally avoid this unless there's some really sought after champion there. But let's talk about the 1+1 that's going to be popping up here. So we got a little note from Plarium here saying, on Tuesday, May 14th, we're planning to launch extra legendary event from Sacred Shard. So basically, if you pull a legendary from a yellow shard, you're going to get an extra one, which is obviously very fun and exciting. You'll be familiar with mechanics. If you summon a legendary champion from a Sacred Shard during this event, you'll get a different extra one of the same shard. Works only once per event. Won't be charged silver for the extra summon. That's cool. On this account, I have 36 sacred shards, so I'm really thinking about participating. I think I probably should participate, but I just want to double check my mercy. My main account is probably around 25 sacreds, so I might participate there as well. So let's jump into my mercy. For my alt account, oh baby, I'm at 21 sacred shards since my last one, so hopefully I will get my I'll get my double legendary pretty quick. So the way mercy works for sacred shards generally are not very good. So the way it works here is that for each sacred shard after your 12th sacred shard, you get plus 2%. As you can clearly see, this is very low. So on your 13th shard, you get basically plus 2%. So that's 6 plus 2, that's 8%, and then 10%, 12%, and so forth. There's no boosted rate, so the rate is going to be 6% for a chance at legendary shards, legendary champion. So very low rate, very low mercy. That's why it's not really an insane event or anything like that. Even though I am 21 sacred shards since my last legendary champion, it still might take me, you know, a couple. It still might take me a couple to reach it. It doesn't mean that I will get it right away. So right now, right now my first sacred shard would be basically plus 18% on top of 6. So it's 24% chance that I would pull a legendary. So 1 in 4 chance to pull a legendary. I mean, obviously that sounds insane, but you know, it took me 21 sacreds to get to this point with no legendary. But I will probably participate. It's a good spot for me because obviously I'm into Mercy, so my rates are much higher than if I wasn't. And I'll show you guys a quick breakdown here of some of the math stuff. So if you guys were starting with fresh Mercy, basically if you literally just pulled a legendary from a Sacred Shard like yesterday and you want to participate in this event, well, it's roughly about a coin flip for you to pull legendary within the first 12 sacreds. Okay, so no boost, no nothing. It'll take you roughly a coin flip to get the legendary, so basically 2 legendaries within your first 12 sacred shards. Within your first 20 sacred shards, starting from 0, you have roughly an 87% chance to get your legendary and then your extra one, so you get 2 for 20 sacreds, roughly about 87% chance of that happening. Of course, this is with non-boosted rate, 6%. So you can kind of see like you still need a pretty good bunch. And the way to kind of tackle this event, these extra legendary events from Sacred Shards, is that you must make sure that you kind of have a big stash of Sacred Shards to take full advantage. Because the last thing you want to do is pull like 2 or 3 and then say, oh, I'm done with the event. So you basically just, you know, took a shot, 2 or 3 at 6%, which is reduced rates, obviously. Obviously, we can, you know, participate in double chance events, which is 12%. But the worst thing you could do is probably just, you know, throw 2 or 3 into the wind and hope something happens. Most likely, you're literally just throwing them away because this is going to be in the middle of the week with no, you know, no additional summon event, no additional rewards, nothing like that. And obviously, there's not going to be any boosted rate. So if you don't get an extra legendary pull, it's going to be really, really not worth it. So usually I would advise, if you were participating in this type of event for Sacred Shards, you must know your Mercy. And even if you know your Mercy, you must have a good stash of Sacred Shards to capitalize on this event. So for example, this account is a perfect example. We're 21 since our last legendary. We are in Mercy. We have a big stash of Sacreds. It won't hurt us even if we go like 20 deep. Assuming we don't, obviously I don't want to go 20 deep after already being 21 deep. But I mean, it is possible, and you know, ideally we don't, but we're ready for it if we do. I guess a quick checklist to whether you should participate is, if you're early game, I would say don't participate. If you're mid game, I say don't participate. If you're late game, you must know your Mercy. You must have a good stash of Sacred Shards, ideally. If you're going for the fusion, I say don't participate, because this is probably just a way to make the fusion harder for yourselves. It's going to try to take away sacreds from you mid fusion, because there's going to be a summon event in 4 days time. So this is an event trying to bait people to spend their Sacred Shards, which are high value from the upcoming summon rush. So if you're doing the fusion, definitely 1,000,000% be careful about participating in this 1+1 event. You have to resist the FOMO here. It's incredibly difficult. If you're a spender, of course, you can spend and whatever, participate if you want, because it doesn't really affect you because you're a spender. So that's kind of like my general advice, but definitely make sure you maintain your Mercy, whether it be RSL tracker helper or using the help of a spreadsheet. And also make sure you have a decent, healthy stash of Sacred Shards behind you, so that if things have to go pretty deep, then you're gonna see it through and still be okay to participate in fusions. The other thing to look out for actually is that here is the Plarium calendar, is that shortly after the summon rush ends and before the end of the Wickwell fusion, we should expect some kind of event, whether it be a Titan event, another Hero's Path, another Deck of Fate, something along those lines. So that's something that kind of is stopping me slightly from participating in this event, because it could be something along the lines of, hey, here's a Deck of Fate 25 sacreds for whatever champion that's super cool that we all want, and then we'll feel extra FOMO about if we don't get it. For example, of course, the calendar here doesn't really show us that right now, but based on the past couple months, actually based on this year, every month this has been happening. There has been a corresponding Titan event or Hero's Path during or near the end of every fusion so far this year. People are predicting that it's going to be the Wixwell 5-star Soul. I think that's a pretty good guess. Wixwell with the 5-star Soul will be pretty powerful actually, because that covers a lot of stats for him, especially the resistance and accuracy. So that would be a great investment for him if you guys decide to go for Wixwell and then want to invest in him further. So definitely a very pivotal event, especially if you want to commit here. So even for myself with resources and all that stuff, I am second guessing myself a little bit, but of course I would be a fool not to participate at least a little bit, at least on this account with 21 sacreds deep into the Mercy with 36 back. I would be a fool not to participate. My main account, I don't think I'm as deep. I'm 0 deep, so I'm fresh Mercy. So I'm probably going to pass on my main account, unfortunately. My main account, I believe, has like 25 or so. I mean, that's a good amount of sacreds, but I don't really want to take the chance of diving in 25 deep and then failing, which is a possibility. If you look at my math here, 97.5% chance that I will pull a legendary by my 25th sacred shard if I start it at 0, which I am. So there is a 2.5% chance that I will fail if I pull 25 sacred shards on my main account. There is a chance that I will fail. So I don't want to be in this 2.5% chance and be very sad. That's a 1 in 50. That's like a 1 in, you know, that's like a 1 in 40 chance. That's a 1 in 40 chance roughly. And I don't really want to be in that 1 in 40 chance. That's like hitting double zero on a roulette table. I don't want to hit that. I don't want to hit that and be sad. Okay, guys. So I'm going to save it on my main account, and I will be pulling on my alt account, and I'll be joined by a couple viewers. So we'll be making a video on that when this event comes live. But anyways, guys, hopefully, yeah, we had a good chat about this event. Hopefully you guys make the right decision with the information provided to you guys. And if you guys don't, it's all good. It's just a game. Enjoy yourselves. Best of luck as always. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.